So today I'm wanting to make some of my potting soil because I'm wanting to start some seeds indoors for some of my lettuces, and I'm going to plant some lettuces inside as seeds to get them started, and I may end up transplanting them some outside and kind of see which ones do the best. But in the meantime, I need some really good potting soil. I don't like to buy a lot of the potting soil that you see in the stores because there's so many additives. Everything we do here is organic. So here we are down at the creek, and this is where I like to come to get sand. I get sand anytime I need it for my chickens to bathe in, and I also get sand whenever I'm making my potting soil. So this is where I get my compost. This here is where last year the hay feeder was for the sheep, and where they would eat often and they would poo a lot. And so they left this dirt nice and rich for me. As you can see, they all still love it. Well, hi Sophie. So scoot over. I'm going to take some of this soil . Nice, rich, healthy soil. Okay, so we have our bucket of sand from the creek. We're just gonna dump that in. And then we have our bucket of our composted sheep manure with our beautiful worms. There's lots of worms in here. I can see them moving. And then we're going to take some peat moss here, and we're going to fill up a bucket so that we have equal components. The peat moss here will help everything to stay watered in really well because it'll hold moisture. The sand helps aerate things, and then the composted sheep manure will help feed everything and give everything lots of good nutrients. There we go. Okay, so you probably have pots left over from some project. I have several that are this size, and I like to use some of them. But I also, these are probably one of my favorite size here. But you might also have some of these little teeny ones that are really, really flimsy, but they have the holes in the bottom. These are all great for starting seeds. I like the firmer ones only because they're really easy to scoop. Like this. And then I'm just going to line my little tray. I might want a couple of bigger ones. Don't want to fill them too full. I got to make room to put stuff in. just want to plant a couple of spinach and some lettuce, and I'm going to start these in the house. There you have it. I'm just going to take these to my patio. I'm going to set them under the grow light and watch them grow. Now I have a few cuttings that I want to make because it's getting colder outside, and I have not trimmed back or salvaged some of my favorite annuals yet, and I want to move them indoors. But some of them can't be moved easily, so what I'm going to do is take some clippings in my handy dandy potting soil. So this here is one of my favorite coleus. But as you can see, it's in a hanging pot that is mounted onto this, what I call cowboy fence. And so it's not a pot that I can simply just bring in the house, trim it back, bring it in the house. And I don't want to uproot it or disturb those roots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a clipping of it. If you can see here, we have the main part here at the top, and then we have several leaves and a nice firm stalk. And so one of the things I want to do here is I'm going to take this top out, but I want to make sure it has several leaves because we're going to remove these leaves. But where you see the leaf nodes, where the leaves grow out, that is where it's going to usually sprout its roots. I think I'm going to take my cutting from this one down here. Okay, since our stem that we got is actually fairly large, I'm going to use my larger pot here. Make a little hole with my fingers. Stick this right down in. Pack my soil in a little bit. I'm going to add a little fresh right on top. There we go. Here we have some potato vine, and this one here still has actually a few blooms on it. Just going to trim away some of these bottom leaves here. And here too, I'm going to just make a spot and stick this right in this dirt. By doing these this way, we do want to make sure we water these and keep the soil very moist for a while, until it's rooted really well. I have this pot here. I'm going to clean up this pot, and I'm actually going to take the whole thing inside. But this is actually growing in the ground and is looking really well. So I'm taking a cutting off of it. I'm going to trim off a few of these lower leaves, and I'm going to stick it in our dirt. We will be really glad in the springtime when we have a jump start on a few coleus. So here we have just several little cuttings of different things that we're going to overwinter indoors, so that in the springtime we will have a little jump start on filling our flower bed. One of the things about sheep manure is sheep manure is actually a cold manure, which means that you can take fresh sheep manure and put it right on top of your plants, and it won't burn them or hurt them at all, but provide wonderful, beautiful nutrients for them. But once it's aged, it does much the same thing, and so that's why I love our sheep manure. And so if you're wanting to make some compost or some potting soil like this, and maybe you don't raise sheep and you don't have sheep, if there is a local sheep farmer anywhere near you, I can almost guarantee you they would not mind if you came and did a little barn cleaning for them, or scooped up a few pots around to clean up the area wherever their feeders have been or are now. Most of the time they won't mind you doing something like that. Check with one of your local sheep farmers and just see what they have to say. So here you'll see my onion bed, and I was able to get a good jump start on it and have all these onions planted early on. They don't really like the heat, so you can plant them almost any time, but I planted those onions, the little bitty tiny onions, and they're already really jumping up there. Most of these are at least a foot tall already, so I'm really excited about them. I don't mind the leaves being in here. It is the middle, almost the end of October, and so the leaves will actually serve as a nice additional mulch, and so that'll be just fine. So in this bed here, and actually the one right over beside it also, these are both garlic, all garlic, and I use and eat a lot of garlic, and so I wanted to plant a lot, and so I planted these 2 beds full. I have several large flower pots full, because garlic you can plant real easily in pots or in the ground. And you'll see here I've got lots of growth already. It looks like every one of them has sprouted. Again, the leaves I'm not too concerned with, because it'll act again as a mulch and just help keep it kind of covered through the winter. And here we have a lot of things started from seed. We have quite a few different types of radishes. I've planted some beets and some carrots and some chives, just a few little things like that from seed. So when you're all done potting all of your plants, and you want to kind of go through, make sure there's no live worms still in there. I tried to use them all in my pots, and so then what is left I'm going to bag up in my feed bags, so that I'll have potting soil for either later in the winter or at least in the spring. Beautiful potting soil for days to come. So thanks so much for watching today's video, y'all. I hope you'll give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. See you next week.